Welcome to Oh Hell No with Nicole.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. Today we have Chef Chrissy. He is a chef and an entrepreneur. Thank you, Chef Chrissy, for being here with me today. Welcome.
You're welcome. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so today we are going to talk all about you and your passions in the kitchen. Are you ready?
I am.
All right, so when did you discover that you enjoy?
From the barbecues, really. We used to host some big barbecues, and each person had like their own little thing they liked to do. And from there, I just started fooling around a little more and more.
How old were you?
I don't know, probably about 13, 14 or so.
Wow.
But I could always cook from I was 7 years old, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, island life. We grew in the countryside, so pretty much you had to know how to do a lot. When we were younger, you had to pretty much learn to fend for yourself when, they really showed you how to, as a tender age, where I grew up at the countryside of Jamaica, it was, you literally had to do for yourself most of the time. So we learned to do a lot by just watching and stuff like that.
Okay. So as you started cooking more and more and you realized that you really enjoyed it, because cooking to just eat is one thing, but cooking because you really enjoy it, that's like a whole nother level. So when you realized that you really loved cooking and said, okay, I'm going to try to do this as a living, how did that kind of manifest itself? Do you remember?
Well, like, the best way to put that is, right, I grew up in a home as a lot of us, but it was home-cooked meals. Mm-hmm. And my mother had a certain way she did things. And when I moved out, there was no one that did it like her. Like, most of the people would never set a table every day. That was her thing. You had to set the table. You had to do all of that. And you had to be able to cook at home. It was your time to say, okay. But for some reason, I always gravitated to the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And what really got me into cooking was I think I was 21, somewhere 19, 21, somewhere about there. My dad decided to open a bar and lounge on 222nd and Boston Road. And all the chefs would come that he was interviewing at the time, because he was looking for a West Indian chef, and they would come and I'd watch what they do, and I'd go in the kitchen and be like, that I'll cook it better. And from there, I started cooking daily. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it just started becoming easier and easier and easier. And that place made me realize how well I can cook, and I just started experimenting at home until we changed the restaurant over completely into like a wine bar and restaurant fully loaded. And at the time, pretty much I didn't know how to make a menu plan. I didn't know how to write up a menu. I didn't know how to do none of that. So what I did was I took my recipes, watched what another restaurateur did, and I rewrote my recipes my way for our menu at the time. And that was pretty good at the time.
Wow.
And, I would go someplace and, okay, appetizer, buffalo wings. But instead of doing buffalo wings, we did jerk wings or Caribbean wings. We renamed it, but with our own flavors. So that's the way I did my first menu. Until now, I've started to speak with caterers, chefs, and started to really know how to write out a menu plan, and come up with these different ways of doing different style of dishes, because if you thought about it, another chef has already done it.
Right. Did you ever have any formal training, or really you were just self-taught?
I'm a TV chef, and that's what I call it. I watch everything on television. Mm-hmm. And I mimic certain styles of chefs that I like. I read a lot of chefs' recipe plans, and I try it their way, then I try it my way. But there's some chefs that I give a whole lot of credit, so that I watch how they cook. I watch how they build flavors on top of flavors, because today's modern world of cooking is no longer salt and pepper. You have to have some kind of herb, spice, chili, something to change the complete flavor of the food to make it what it is today to compete.
Yeah,
So
and
everything that I watch, you know,
I was going to say, let's just be clear though that a lot of us can watch, TV and try to make it and it's not as tasty. So what you have is a gift. Don't be so modest.
I do have a gift, and I believe that cooking is a gift, but I also work at it.
Yeah.
I have my kids at home. One daughter, she likes her stuff dry. My son likes a little sauce. My other son likes a little spice. And I'll stay home and I'll cook 4 or 5 different dishes on my day off so that they'll like it. Things that I find ways to hide healthy stuff into food that they won't know, or stuff that I want them to be able to taste. Like most of my kids, they don't like mushrooms.
Yeah.
But I take the mushroom, I roast them, and I puree them and make a gravy out of it. Stuff like that. So, the gift I got, I'm thankful for it. But I work at it, and there's much more that I want to know and want to learn. And my downside as a chef, I now realize formal training is a wonderful thing to have, because you get to understand techniques that most people don't. Even though I teach myself these techniques, and I read the books that the schools put out all the time on what's new out, what can do this. And equipment's always changing. And the most important thing is just common sense in cooking.
Yeah. So,
right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I cook a little bit. I mean, I'm no Chef Chrissy, but, my husband doesn't complain. So Chef Chrissy has a restaurant. It's called A Place to Go in New Rochelle, New York, and it is amazing. I love the food there. I've been there a number of times for a lot of different things, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So because you grew up with your dad owning a restaurant, was that just a seamless thing for you to kind of go into, or did you just develop your own passion of wanting to have your own restaurant and do things your way?
How'd that go now? My dad just wanted to open up something. He had no direction of really what he wanted to do, and that's where a lot of restaurant owners, most West Indian restaurant owners, they open a business after they already became successful in their other business, and not knowing how difficult the restaurant business was. It was a nightmare working with family there.
Yeah.
You would tell them how certain things go, because I was the kind of person that was well-rounded. I always wanted to live that lifestyle of tasting what is a 5-star restaurant. I want to visit this chef's place. I want to go try that. I want to go do it. But they were just stuck in their little world. So it was just a long journey to get to a place to go, from not having nothing to selling jerk pork, jerk chicken on the side of the road, to renting a kitchen from an old dive bar owner in the Bronx, to working back for someone, and to just walking out of there and say, I'm going to find a place of my own and try to get it done, and that's a place to go.
Nice. So what would you say is the most challenging part of opening a restaurant?
Staying open is the most challenging part of a restaurant. Opening a restaurant is very easy. Anyone can you get the lease, get your architect, you design your kitchen once you have the financing.
Right.
But keeping it open is the most difficult part I can ever face. And the most difficult part about the business is what most people don't talk about, is that tax you have to pay to the state, regardless if you're having a good day or a bad day. And the accountant that handles those things for you. And when you don't have the common knowledge of what is required, and you don't have a quality accountant that's going to guide you in the right direction, that could be your nightmare.
Wow. See, I was going to ask you too, what is the most challenging part of running the restaurant? So keeping it open is a challenge, but running it.
Okay. Running it now, the most challenging part today is employees.
Yep.
The lack of care.
Yeah.
Don't want to work. If you're running a quality product, you have to have people that believe in quality. And forgive me for saying it, but today, and most chefs, most restaurateurs will tell you, when you find people that just want to work or don't have a passion for anything is the most difficult thing you can find.
Yeah.
Employees are headache of an establishment at times. So you have to be on your P's and Q's. And, some of them are really, really nice to work with. Because, some have just natural love. But no one's going to take care of the back, the front, the middle like you are, especially when it comes to small business. Corporate, totally different level. They can afford to send you to training. They can afford the numbers. But when you're a small business owner and you have cooks or people that you turn into cooks, totally different ball game.
Yeah.
So that is the most challenging part, employees.
Yeah. I think I could understand that. I really can. So, in your opinion, why do you think it's so hard to survive in the restaurant business? Like earlier, you said that, it is challenging just keeping a restaurant opening, having. What do you think is the number one thing that makes it so difficult for people to keep those doors open?
Food cost. Food cost is controlled by what we call the big sharks, I guess the big guns or the big whales. And you'll go, like, let's use Caribbean recipe plans. It calls for dry ingredients and wet ingredients, right?
Yeah.
The numbers are through the roof. Who are you catering to demographically? Can that neighborhood afford what you're putting out, even a half a chicken for, or a plate of chicken, or a plate of shrimp? And then there's times because of weather you go to the market and you'll go, okay, as simple as, let's say, green onion. Mm-hmm. You'll go to the market and it's $12, $15, $18.
Wow.
Weather comes and you go to the market, it's $40. Meat. 1 minute you're paying a good price. We use oxtail. Mm-hmm. Oxtail was what was spare parts back then. Now, oxtail is twice the price as fish, which fish is supposed to be king of the seafood is supposed to be high price.
Right.
But you're paying 2 times the cost of a fish to a pound of oxtail. And then, when your recipe plan calls for destination visits, and a lot of our food are like, I feel for Jamaican food, or I feel for Indian food, or I feel for Spanish food. Mm-hmm. Those are destination restaurants in most cases to some of us. So you really have to go above and beyond when it comes to dealing with our style of food. And we fall in that category of comfort food. So the bottom line is the lack of support sometimes within your community can be a factor. Being a destination restaurant can be a factor. So it varies. It's just not like one thing I can pinpoint and say, okay, most of us have a line down the block. We dream for that. The write-ups we have for a place to go is amazing. Everyone says the food is amazing. And every day, you get 1 and 2 negatives that brings your numbers back down. And then you have to fight to get your numbers back up as far as. So it's just so much within that business. But if you have passion and you love it and you're true to it, you just work at it until you manifest into something. And we're 5 years. So we're hoping the 5th year will bring us some luck.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you love the most about cooking?
The smile on the client's face when they put the food in their mouth. Just the look. When you hit it on the head, when you taste it, and when you put it out, and you stand inside and watch the customer put the food in their mouth, they go, it don't matter what word they use, whether damn, oh my gosh, or just the facial, like, yes, this is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of cooking.
That's nice. I like that. So is there anything you dislike about cooking?
Lack of family time. On the days that is most important to the children. That's my only dislike with cooking. Running a restaurant is when the kids want to see you, and no matter what you do, you have to go to work.
Yeah, I could just imagine. How do you come up with new recipes? Because I see you on Instagram and you're always creating, you're always doing something. So one time I spoke to someone, he said he dreams about recipes. I don't know. How do they come to you?
I don't know. I swear. Like if you just literally let me go into anybody's place and all the food products is there, everything seasons is there, that's there. I know if it's calamari, if it's lobster, if it's fish, if it's beef, if it's pork, I just know how I want it to come out. And once I add that flavor to it and I get it to where I want it, whether I'm braising, whether I'm searing, whether I'm frying, whether I'm grilling, I know exactly how I want it to come out, and I know exactly what I want to put with it. How it comes to me, sometimes I have no idea. I just go to the market and be like, okay, they got spring roll wrappers, ground organic chicken like last week, and I'm like, okay, I like Tex-Mex rolls, but I like it this way. So I came home and I made it.
So you just put stuff together and see how it comes out, and
Right.
that's cool.
So like this week I was working on tacos, and I wanted to mimic hard dough bread and avocado on a taco. So I used a flour taco with jerk chicken thighs and toasted the flour tortilla and gave it to someone. And then I said, when you eating that, tell me if that reminds you of eating avocado and bread, as we call it in Jamaica, pear on bread. And the man said, I would never thought about that, Chris, but once you said it, that's what I taste. So it's like, I experiment a lot with foods that I like.
Right.
And how I think a food should taste, and equipment is everything too. Like you can, and I was explaining it to my wife the other day because I made her like a cast iron skillet salmon, and she's like, "How come it come out this way?" But when I do it, it don't come out. I said the skillet makes the difference. The burn, whatever you do, it makes a difference as far as which pot you use. So those things change the quality of food. We grew up like, someone will go and buy like a regular Dutch pot. And then they say, how come I don't get the same burn? Because the metal can only hold but so much temperature, so much heat. Is the heat being spread evenly? Stuff like that. So you learn those little things after years and years of experience, and it works. Like when they say, how do you get those gravies? You have to slowly do it. Let the food touch the bottom of the pot, take it off.
Yeah.
And just spend your time.
It takes patience. It takes patience when you're cooking. That mess is no joke. I don't know. I love it. I'm, like I said, I'm no Chef Chrissy, but I do like to cook. But I'm also not that patient.
It's like shopping, a woman shopping. It takes her all day to find the outfit right for the event that she's going.
Yeah.
And if you're putting so much effort into what you put on, I think you should put the same effort into what you put into your body.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
So I see that you are branching out and doing parties. So tell us, what appeals to you about having these types of events?
Fun at work. No,
sense.
seriously, it's like fun at work. I have a great group of friends that I like hanging out with. Everybody gets along. I'm sure you see and know, and I respect the 30-year friendship that I have with them. And I like to be around people that like the life, the enjoyment of life. And it's also a way that we finance ourselves also, because as a small business owner, financing is one of the hardest things you can get. And I always say to everyone, like, I'm so tired of these guys with their power speeches and come to this seminar and that seminar. We have to pay to go to these seminars.
Yeah.
When you go to these seminars that's telling you about business, all these power speech givers, this seminar, I have friends that they go to Atlantic City, they go to Florida, they go all over the place. They go all over the place so that they can be a better business person. But as a small business owner, when you're taking your own money to go to these seminars, the amount of money you're spending in these seminars to see that you already have a great idea, you already have a good business going for you, all you need is financing to grow your business. And when you walk into these places for financing, majority of the time they turn you down. 10 times out of 10 most of the time, until one day you do hit luck. But when we do these events, we can try to finance ourselves getting to a next level, and it's also free advertising also. So in my events that I do is I try to create an atmosphere for professionals, for people that can get along together, have a good time together in a safe, comfortable environment, and keep the quality of it so that quality transfer over to the restaurant and popularize the restaurant. So I'm constantly staying current with these things that I do and staying, what's the best way to put it? Like the demographics that I'm looking for is exactly the events that I keep I try to solicit professionals, hardworking people that just need a time. So most of the events, I try to keep them on a Sunday when they're finished with church, finished with the kids. They want to come out for a couple of hours, have a good time, go to bed, and get back to work.
Right.
And it works for me.
Okay. What is the most difficult part of hosting these events and being responsible for the food? Do you hire event planners or do you kind of work the whole event with you and your team?
The team is me and my wife. And it becomes difficult at times, but planning them, now they're becoming easy because we've done so much. But the most difficult thing is just to make sure the quality is there, make sure you open on time, make sure the food is out on time, make sure the food is hot, make sure the service is there. And after working with a few of the staff members and one and two others, it becomes that easy. But it takes a time, and there's a whole lot of work, especially when the big ones come around.
Yeah, absolutely. What have you done that some said you would never do? Because we all have naysayers, right? So what is something that you have accomplished that you have heard that you would never be able to do?
A place to go.
Look at that.
And still married.
Well, that's good.
Boy, I tell you, that place do take a toll on the relationship.
That's what I was. I was going to ask you, what do you sacrifice to do what you love? Because we all sacrifice something. And I know you said that time,
Wow.
The cooking takes away from your kids sometimes. But are there any other sacrifices that you just have to make for this love of yours?
Well, I'm bedded in it. And the sacrifice I've made is like, this is for my family. And at the end of the day, I'm looking for that light at the end of the road to balance for them. And they have to understand now, and it's the family sacrifice, not being able to spend as much time as I possibly want. So like Monday, my kids would say, Monday is family day. You can't leave the house. You can't do this unless we're all going together. So I try to do that and keep them as happy as I possibly can. But the sacrifice is not that I've made. I miss coming home at 6 in the afternoon and have the rest of the afternoon to myself, and I miss my weekends and I miss that. But we create a space within that we can pretty much say we're having a good time in what we're doing. There's better days than some, but it's an experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime you have something that you're passionate about, that you truly love, it's going to take a lot of time and effort on your part, and something is going to be sacrificed, right? Because life is just that way. But at some point, you hope to find balance, and that's what we all hope for. So,
yes.
Yeah. So I know that you are living in your purpose, because I always ask my guests if they feel like they are living in their purpose and, just doing what they love the most. And it's clear that you are. Are there any other passions that you want to see come to pass?
Passion I think, what I want to see come to pass is the balance. Mm-hmm. I have, the cooking, the whole chef life, I want to see that come to pass. And most importantly, like, as far as when it comes to that full circle of, I'm a true Jamaican to the bone. And eating so much different recipes and different ethnicities and different style of food. And I come back to that sweet home cooking of my mom or my friends' mothers, or even when you go home. I'd like to be one of those Jamaican chefs that make sure that they know that Caribbean recipes, Caribbean food is one of the best amongst the rest. And it's palatable, palatable. It's something that's really good. And if I can get recognized as a true yard chef, in our words, that is sending out a product worth waiting online for, I'll continue to strive for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what you need to do next is your cookbook. Come on, we're waiting for it.
Yeah. So the problem with me when it comes to even the cookbook, mm-hmm. I still to this day don't write down the recipes. Mm. They're all in my head, and I can remember from the first to the last.
Yeah, you gotta put something.
And
together.
It's weird, but I know I have to put them on paper now. But before I was And that's where the restaurant takes so much time away from you because you don't really have much time to think. You just have your head buried down in work and just want to keep pushing out the work until you get comfortable. But what do you call comfortable?
Yeah.
Is there a way that you can slow down to really control your time? And if you can control your time, I believe that's where success comes in. And I'm learning that now. Before it was just get up and get going, market, in the kitchen, open, on and on and on and on. And that's where I respect the executive chefs in the business and all the successful chefs and restaurateurs. I respect that part of them because they've developed that way of living or way of doing things, that clockwork. Okay.
Yeah. When you look at your life today and where you are, what are you the most proud of?
My children. Yeah. I'm most proud of my children. And most importantly, that woman that I'm married to. I'm very much proud of her, how she's been sticking with me through thick and thin. And boy, it has been a rough challenge.
I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure. You guys work hard and you guys work together, so that's really awesome. I love to see that. When people dine at a place to go, what do you want them to remember the most about their dining experience?
Quality in service for a Caribbean restaurant. Quality in food. Quality in drinks, just quality overall. Like, wow, I'm really appreciating this place for what these guys set out to do.
Well, I can tell you as a patron, I definitely feel that way. I love the food, I love the drinks, and the wait staff is always very professional and, they cater to you. So I can say that. And I'm being honest, I'm not biased.
I appreciate it. We work very hard at it, very hard, because some of them that we have working with us even from the beginning had no restaurant experience, so we pretty much had to hands-on train them and show them ways and how to serve, whether you're on the left or whether you're on the right, how to clean the glasses, how to make sure that when people walk through the door. And most of all, the question is this really a Jamaican restaurant? And the saying goes, most people walk into a West Indian restaurant and, can I have that? We don't have none of that.
Yeah.
That I never wanted anyone to ever walk into my place and we're out of something. But come to find out, there's nothing wrong with running out of something.
Yeah.
We try not to, but the product is that good, and if it sells, it sells. But I just want everyone to just know that a place to go is a family-run business that love what they do, love our island people, and just trying to bring some light on island life. And it varies. My wife is Bayesian, and I'm Jamaican, and there's food in Barbados that I like, that I try to duplicate that recipe plan. And even Sunday past, we had a Haitian involved situation, and I did Haitian recipe plan. But, those things I like to do because the food all relate.
Yeah.
It's just different techniques and different ways of how they do it. So, I want people to know that a place to go is really about the islands, the Caribbean, the West Indies,
Yes, love that. So when people go to an event that you put together, what do you want them to say to others about the event? You
have to go. This is well worth going. It's professionally done. It's not, as we would say, it's not ratchet. It's not. It's just really a beautiful, wonderful environment that you can have a great time amongst great people. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Oh Hell No podcast, and I named this podcast that because I feel like through our journey of finding our purpose and fulfilling, living a fulfilled life, we have moments where we might have an oh hell no moment that just stops us in our tracks. It could be a positive thing. It could be a negative thing. For instance, I had someone on and he said his oh hell no moment was someone wanted to buy his business, and when they made him an offer, and he made them an offer and they accepted it, and he didn't think they would accept that number. And when they said, yeah, we'll buy it, he was like, oh hell no, like really? So it could be positive or it could be negative, but you have to share with us an oh hell no moment that you've experienced along the way. It could be early on in your life, it could be yesterday.
Man, has this been a challenge? And there's many days that things got so rough that it's like close the doors, and I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to stop until I reach someplace.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. I mean, right now, I believe that owning your own and setting your own destiny, I think that's the best. I can't see myself sitting down waiting to collect a paycheck when there's just so much out there that's needed. There's always a need for something, and that's my oh hell no. I'm not going to give up. What I'm doing is needed, and it's wanted. So until I get to that, I'm going to continue.
That's right. I love that. That's a great oh hell no. So it was such a pleasure talking to you and finding out about your journey. Tell everyone how we can keep up with Chef Chrissy and a place to go, and tell us what your next event is that you're working on.
Our next event that we're working on is Resurrection for the 10th of June, which is our yearly soiree on the golf course. And we always try to pick a beautiful golf course to do it on to sell that lifestyle. Place to go on Instagram, which is a place to go with the number 2. And then it's Chef Chrissy 2 with the double F inside the chef on Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook. And you can also look us up at a place to go Westchester at Gmail.
Okay, cool. All right, Chef Chrissy, this was a great interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Oz.